Hello and welcome to today's episode of Vibrate Higher. Today, I want to talk with you about your belief system. This is literally one of my favorite things to talk about and delve into. And as we are on this 2025 journey to be the version of ourselves that live the lives that we want, that have all the things that we want, the partner, the home, the career, the cars, the bank account, the healthy, fit body that feels good from the inside out, we need to be cognizant of the things that we need to overcome internally to be that person, to be that version of ourselves. And a big chunk of what is standing in our way is our beliefs. So let's dive right in. Henry Ford, the founder of Ford Motors, has a quote that I love to refer to often that says, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." What does that mean exactly? Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. It means if you want to change how you're showing up or where you are in life, you can simply change your thoughts. And thoughts and beliefs go hand in hand because a belief is just a thought that you keep thinking. It is a thought that you have repetitively thought over and over and over again. As a human, we think up to 70,000 thoughts a day. 95% of those thoughts are repetitive. So we think them over and over and over, day after day after day. And of those, 80% are negative. Beliefs impact our feelings. They impact your thoughts. And your thoughts are truly at the end of the chain. Thoughts are like the conscious expressions of your beliefs. So if you already have a belief that is ingrained in you, by now, how you think about that is really just a product of the belief. So as an example, if you were told when you were growing up that you have to work hard for money, that's what your parents told you or your caretakers told you, that's what you saw. So that's your belief. Now, as an adult, what that looks like is your thoughts about money mirror that belief. They are just an expression of that belief. So now, as an adult, when you associate earning dollars, it has to come with hard work, long hours. You're constantly working overtime. You're stretching yourself thin because in your belief system, in order to earn money, it has to come with hard work. And so you continue to attract opportunities that are hard work. And you're in a hamster wheel and you don't even realize it because of a belief and thoughts that continue to keep you in that habit loop of a belief. Limiting beliefs are simply beliefs that limit you, that hold you back, that keep you stuck. And a lot of times our limiting beliefs are so ingrained in us from childhood that we don't even recognize. We have no idea because they're so subconsciously wired into how we think. It sounds like stuff like, this always happens to me. Things always go wrong for me. Or I'm always overlooked. I never get picked for things. I'll never get that promotion. Anytime you are hearing yourself start off with, I'm always negative statement, I never, things always negative statement, that's how you know you are in a limiting belief. And in order to move forward and evolve and be a new person, in order to reach new heights and accomplish new things, you have to overcome limiting beliefs and you have to be able to understand how your thoughts contribute to it, which is what our goal is in this particular episode. I want to give you guys an example of my own limiting belief that I caught myself in. And this was decades ago, but it's just one of those moments that I won't forget. I feel like it was truly a turning point for me. So picture it, Sicily. It's 2010, maybe somewhere around there, 2011. And there was a leadership position at the company that I worked at the time that had come open. And I really, really wanted it. Everything in my bones was like, you want to do this. You want to apply. I was literally telling myself inside, why would they pick you for this? I was talking myself out of even applying for the position because I had a limiting belief. I felt that I was not worthy or deserving of this particular role. That was the root of it. How it showed up was role is posted. I'm filling it out online and I'm like talking myself into this negative loop. Like, why would they pick you? So there was a particular person who was a top performer. For the sake of this story, we're going to call him Earl. He probably was number one amongst all of the teams that did this particular position. I was probably 2 or 3 overall, somewhere in the top, but I definitely was not number one. So as I am sitting here looking at this job posting and I'm filling it out on my company intranet, I'm like, they're going to pick Earl. Why are you even going to bother applying for this? Earl is a top performer. So it just makes sense that he would be the leader and just take the step up. And maybe you just work harder and you become number one consistently, and then you can apply for the next one that comes. That was the limiting belief because in my mind, I wasn't worthy, I wasn't deserving. But thankfully, I had already started on my self-development journey. I was very new in it, but I understood enough about like, that just doesn't feel right. That doesn't even sound right. So I applied. And we get to the day of the interview. I decided I'm going to go to my car and I'm going to meditate. I was already into meditation. I would do it every morning, but I was very cognizant of like vibrations and energies and frequencies at that time, just because I was learning a lot about them. And what I knew was my frequency was not up to par with killing a job interview. So I get in my car. I've probably got an hour and a half or so before the interview. I sent up my prayer. I asked, give me the insight, help me understand the gap between where I am and where I'm trying to be, because it just, something doesn't feel right. And I know this isn't right. I need help. So put out the intention and I sat in my car and I meditated. And once I actually relaxed, I got clarity. I got visions of being lectured by my dad. I had one of those dads. I love him dearly, but he was very hard on me, not in like an abusive, verbally abusive way, but definitely in a, I want you to be great. I want you to be better than me type way. So if I got a B, I got a lecture. I mean, like an hour-long lecture on a B versus an A. It was just always something that made me feel like crap when we were done talking. Like I never felt like I was good enough for him. So I got those flashes. That at the time was my subconscious mind and God closing this gap, showing me this is why you feel like you're not good enough for this role. It's because you haven't felt good enough since you were much younger. And then I started getting flashes of instances in my life, starting back from when I was younger, in which I was actually a leader. I was a leader of my little brownies troop, and I was a leader in college and the clubs and the stuff that I was a part of, always been a natural leader. And so I kept getting like little flashes. I mean, there's so many different things I could tell you that I got at the time, but I was understanding it. Like all of it was shifting my perspective from being unworthy and not deserving of this particular position to understanding that I was made for this position. By the time I finished my meditation, I was wiping tears from my eyes, but I felt so empowered and so charged. And I was so ready to go in there and kill it. So I roll my shoulders back 3 times. I walk in there, I sit down. It was a panel interview. And sure enough, one of the interviewers asked me directly, why should we pick you and not someone like Earl? My answer prior to that meditation and prior to understanding that I had a limiting belief that I needed to work on would have probably put a nail in the coffin for a big fat no for me for that role. But because I had shifted perspective, my answer was very confidently because I'm a leader. And I didn't give them every single example of every little flash I got in that meditation. But what I definitely did was give them examples of how I showed leadership in the current role I was in that didn't require that. How I galvanized the team, how I was able to motivate, how everyone came to me for help and I was still able to maintain my stats and help other people. I was a leader and I was able to convey that. And I was able to flip that limiting belief and have that perspective. And I got that role and it was only up from there. So why are limiting beliefs harmful? Limiting beliefs are harmful because they keep you stuck. And there are so many of you right now stuck in something. And whatever you are stuck in or afraid of is truly in your mind. It is only a product of your limiting belief. And if you could just realize that and just turn that ship in the water, you could be cruising in a totally different direction for your life. So I know your next question is, well, how do I find my limiting beliefs? I'm going to give you my tips. It's important first to understand that when you're starting to try and uncover your limiting beliefs, you want to work in tandem with your subconscious, your little inner lawyer. Remember, your subconscious mind is there to protect you, and it is going to go find evidence and find answers and give you whatever it is you ask of it. There are two main ways to figure out your limiting beliefs. The first one is notice how you're feeling. So I mean that to say a lot of times because our thoughts are so repetitive and we think them and we don't even realize what we're thinking, it's easier to start with how you feel and then back into your thought. So your feeling is the indicator. For example, a lot of times you may feel like a tightness in your chest, like, God, I'm like wound up really tight. Something like I feel on the inside. That would be an indicator to stop and say, okay, I'm feeling that right now. Why? What was I just thinking? Back into your thoughts. Some people hold tension in their tummies. Whatever it is physiologically, that could be the place to start. Just depends on the person. Notice when you start getting into this like negative self-talk or these repetitive worries about something like a bill you have to pay or a car repair you're dreading, and you start getting down these spirals of thoughts that just make you just pissed or worried or scared or anxious. You want to stop yourself in the midst of that and ask yourself, what was I just thinking about? What has me wound so tight today? The second way, maybe it's not related to how you're thinking or feeling in a moment, but you know that you have a pattern of romantic relationships that end in cheating. You could literally look at that and say, okay, I know that has happened for my last 2 or 3 relationships. That's a pattern. There has to be a limiting belief there because if it wasn't, you wouldn't have a pattern. So that's another way to call out, I have a limiting belief somewhere. So let's take that as an example. First thing to do, take accountability for that pattern. So if we're using the example of relationships that end in cheating, if that's my pattern, first thing I'm going to do is take accountability. I am not going to sit there and be like, that was so-and-so's fault because he did this, or the person before him, he was like this. We get into that victim mindset all the time. And that is honestly a part of what's keeping you stuck in those relationships that end in cheating because you're not taking accountability. You are the common denominator here. This is your shit, no one else's. Second thing you want to do after you take accountability for it is take your power back. So in this example, relationships that end in cheating, I would write that on a piece of paper or in my phone notes. Then I would ask myself, What must a person who consistently experiences this have to believe to be true? Let your subconscious mind go ham and give you the evidence, because it will. Just sit back and ask, what must a person who's always cheated on have to believe to be true? Your subconscious will give you the answer. So maybe the thing that comes up is that I don't deserve a partner that loves and values me. Ooh, you'll feel it. When you hit that root, I promise you, you will feel it physiologically in your soul. You will feel it. So it's going to feel like a tingle, or maybe you're starting to get a lump in your throat, like you want to cry, or something in you is going to acknowledge that you got it. When you get that one, you know you have it. Okay, so now I know my limiting belief is I don't deserve a partner that loves and values me. And sometimes you got to sit with it, because trust me, I have gone down a rabbit hole sometimes and I'm like, oh, like it hurts me to know, like, oh my God, do I really think this about myself? Like, ooh, let your subconscious give it to you no matter how messy it is. You have got to overcome this. Once you have that, ask the next question. Is this belief new? All of these questions are creating space between the limiting belief and you. And as you ask these questions, it's finding things to be like, oh my gosh, no, this isn't new. All right, I've had it for a while. Dang, I've had this since I was a child when my dad left, that I don't deserve to be loved or valued, because that's kind of how I internalized him leaving. The third question I would ask myself is this belief 100% true? So remember, the belief is I don't deserve a partner that loves and values me. Ask yourself, is this belief 100% true? And then say, when has it not been true? That is another way to get your subconscious to then find evidence that it's not true. Your subconscious is contradicting itself. Like, okay, I had this belief that I didn't deserve to be loved or valued. And that's what we keep thinking, keep attracting. And your subconscious mind truly does that to protect you. I know that's weird, but it puts the belief there out of protection for you, because it doesn't want you to get hurt like you did when your dad left. And when you ask yourself to gather evidence when it wasn't true, it completely negates the barrier, and it creates the space for you to say, this is not 100% true. My uncle loves me, values me, my grandfather, who are men in your life, my brother, my best friend that's a guy, or whatever it is. Find the evidence to support how that's not true. That helps break all of that up. Beliefs have so much power. They set the tone for your positive or negative outcomes. They are the answer keys to your manifestation. So in this season of 2025 that we are in, of being the person that has the life you want, being the better version of yourself who has all the things. Like I said last week, picture that version of yourself on New Year's Eve, December 31st of this year. Picture that person who accomplished what you want, who has the things that you want. What did they have to believe about themselves and their power to get from where you are right now today to there? What limiting beliefs did they have to shed to get there? Ask yourself that. And now you can start getting there by taking those steps that I outlined. And you have a formula now to uncover the limiting belief. Now let's talk about how to change it. These are things that have worked for me. You could do your own research. There are probably a ton of other ones. Find one that works for you once you uncover what your limiting ones are. So affirmations are a proven way to rewire negative beliefs. I'm not going to go too far into explaining what affirmations are. Lucky for you, I'm so passionate about them that I have a free mini course that you can take that will break down affirmations. I will put the link in the show notes. You have to actually believe the affirmation that you are saying. There is a way to craft affirmations. My course will take you through that. Click the link in the show notes if you want to learn more about them. The second way to change a belief is journaling. So for journaling, I would use the exercise I just walked you through. Once you uncover the belief and ask those questions, journal about the positive statement. Develop your positive version of the belief that you can reference. When you do journaling this way, you are unpacking negative beliefs and then pivoting those to something positive. You are improving your brain's neuroplasticity, which is a new neural pathway in your brain. And when you are thinking those thoughts on repeat, it's the same thought, same pathway, same pathway, same pathway. When you uncover a root of a belief and pivot it to a positive, and you start beating that positive belief into your subconscious every day, you're making a new pathway, new wrinkle. Neuroplasticity is what that's called. The third and last way that I'm going to give you today is hypnotherapy. I think that there are a lot of myths and misconceptions about hypnotherapy. I used to also have them, so I understand it. Hypnosis is the study of altered states of consciousness. Hypnotherapy is when you're using those altered states of consciousness to produce profound change. Really what hypnotherapy is, it's getting your conscious mind relaxed enough so that positive suggestions can be given directly to your subconscious mind. It is not designed to make you do anything that is not already in alignment with your core values. But that is the third one that I have used and that I can stand by that works. So that is actually all that I have for you today. I hope that you are vibrating higher now than when you came. Don't forget, you can send me a text. I got texts from you guys from the episode that I did last week, and so many of you have told me that you are on this journey of being in 2025 with me. That is exactly why I was inspired to write this episode about overcoming to become, because in order for us to hit the ground running on this journey, we want to overcome our limiting beliefs so that we can align those beliefs with the version of us that has the things that we desire, that's living the life that we want to live. So send me a text. Tell me how you felt this episode was. Please like, subscribe, share the podcast. Make sure you follow me on the socials if you don't already, at Zenergy Group on TikTok and Instagram. And I wish you love and light, and I will talk to you soon.